I spend a lot of time on this channel ripping into woke people. You know the types, the eternally offended, semi-professional victims, people who view the world through a skewed lens that allows them to interpret everything, no matter how innocent, as racist, sexist or some type of phobia, essentially to allow them to label people with all the ists and isms. But today we're going to look at something else which is very popular within woke circles: hypocrisy. This is what happens when woke people go on the attack. This gentleman is Adam Riley, an upcoming stand-up comedian. He was playing a gig at City Comedy Club, which I believe is in London, but don't quote me on it. But the comic did something truly outrageous. He told a fucking joke. The joke was worded like this: "I'm woke. I believe trans women are women. Otherwise, when I was in Thailand, I fucked 2 men." Now that joke works. There's a setup, the audience is subverted, and then we get the punchline. And importantly, it's the comic who bears the brunt of the joke. But what Riley hadn't figured on was in the audience was a woke trans activist. Predictably, the activist reacted with the usual faux outrage. She, them, or whatever fucking noises they're using as pronouns this week, took to Twitter to stir up the woke mob. And soon enough, they were braying, gnashing their teeth and shaking their digital pitchforks. Incensed, the mob then contacted other venues on the comedian's upcoming tour, demanding that his shows be cancelled. Because if they don't like or even understand a joke, then no one else should have the opportunity to hear it. They also contacted the venue where the offence itself took place. And sadly, that venue's management immediately crumpled, saying they would never have allowed the show to go forward if they'd known it contained such offensive and insensitive material. Spineless fucking bastards. But even that wasn't good enough. The woke Twitterati said that the show should have been stopped the second the joke was told, then shifted the attack onto the comedian himself. Here comes the hypocrisy. Messages were sent to the comedy club saying that the joke should be treated as a hate crime. A fucking hate crime. A hate crime is when you murder someone because of the colour of their skin, or when a woman gets the shit kicked out of her because she's attracted to other women. This was a joke. But of course, woke people are so busy being fucking upset and offended they can't understand humour. And one of them responded by saying, and I quote, "Fascists always say things are just a joke." Really? Was Adolf Hitler big on the Berlin comedy circuit? So put a pin in that phrase, hate crime. Because when the woke brigade started to criticise Adam online, essentially, they just started name-calling, saying that he's fat and ugly and other words of that effect. Yet, the joke he'd told was about Thai ladyboys, men who appear very feminine. It's a joke about physical appearance. Yet, when the keyboard warriors wanted to attack him, they went after his fucking physical appearance. And in no way am I saying that Adam Riley is ugly or fat or any of those things. What I am saying is it appears that within woke circles there's a real double standard, and there is the fucking hypocrisy. But even that wasn't enough. As a result of this joke, there's now an online campaign here in the UK to make jokes about trans people illegal. Fucking illegal. Now, it's illegal to make racist jokes, but people do make racial jokes. Sir Lenny Henry has got a career lasting over 4 decades trading on basically one gag. But if it's illegal to make jokes about trans people, but you can make jokes about everyone else, does that then make that group protected, of more worth than anyone else? Once again, does this reek of being rather hypocritical? Now, of course, trans people should have rights. They should have the same rights as everyone else. That's what equality is. But another tactic employed by woke people to bolster their position, particularly the toxic minorities within the LGBTQIA+ community, and the vast majority of people in that community are absolutely fine. What the woke people and their allies do is just make shit up. A British trans charity, who I won't name for legal reasons, recently published a report saying that among Generation Z, who are the young adults of today, 40% of them identify as being part of the LGBTQIA+ community. 40%. Now, I'm Generation X. When I was a younger man, it was around 4%. Now, of course, that was likely to be underreported, because back then, there was the stigma, which was completely fucking wrong, that being anything other than straight wasn't really socially acceptable. But I've always thought the number of people who are gay, lesbian, bi or whatever is around 1 in 10. However, a survey of 500,000 Brits, albeit of all age groups, in 2021 found that 93.7% of British people identify as being straight. Now, of course, again, that figure may be slightly off because, firstly, there's lots of people who haven't come out as yet, and secondly, we're British and we don't discuss those things in public. But where the fuck is this charity getting the 40% from? Personally, I think there's 3 aspects. Firstly, they'll be out and out lying. The charity will say there's more trans people than there really are, because that way they get more funding and the staff at the charity don't have to go out and get real jobs. Secondly, over the last few years, there's been a huge rise of woke teachers going out of their way to discuss gender and sexuality in a way that confuses the fuck out of young children. And thirdly, well, it's the woke brigade on the attack again, with relentless bullying. Imagine, if you will, a young man, a student. He's on his way to the Union Bar. But he's cisgendered, he's straight, and he's white. And he's constantly bombarded with being told how fucking privileged he is. Now, those privileges all exist. But what they don't factor in is, in this scenario, the young man's mother is a prostitute and his father died of a heroin overdose. Just to clarify, that's all fictional. So in this scenario, the young man enters the bar and is immediately accosted by what, a few years ago, we would have assumed was a pantomime dame, who proceeds to ask him about his sexuality. Now, what's the young man going to say? Is he going to say, I'm straight, I'm only into biological women, trans women, I'm having fucking none of that, knowing that he'll get labelled as a fascist and a bigot and get ripped to pieces on social media? Or just to appease she, her, they, them, or whatever fucking noise they're using, will he say, to make her go away, sometimes I wear a dress and I like sucking cock, I fucking love it? But would that ever really happen? Would someone lie about their sexuality just to appease the anti-everything brigade? Well, given that a comedian is being subjected to a barrage of personal insults and having his career cancelled because he made a joke, yes, I think it could. And it's not like we don't lie about our sexuality in other situations. As a younger man, I was in a bar and I was getting chatted up by what I could best describe as a fuck ugly munter, the sort of woman whose friends say she's got a nice personality. But rather than say to her, the only way I would have sex with you is if I could put a paper bag over your head and then put a paper bag over my head in case yours fucking fell off. Instead, to save her feelings, I said, sorry, I'm gay. I've got nothing else to say on this video other than, as ever, thanks for watching. I spend a lot of time... Fuck it. This gentleman is... shit. It's not shit. The same rights as everyone else. That's true equality. Except for the fucking screamy ones on YouTube. Be described as a fuck ugly munter. The sort of woman where I turn to a mate and say, I wouldn't shag that with yours. Attack. Essentially name calling. Saying things like he's fat and ugly. Which is a bit close to home. Seriously though. Since I fucked my leg up, I've put that much weight on. I'm scared to go to the coast in case Greenpeace try and throw me in the sea. Percent identify as being LGBTQIA+. 40%. And if that were true, it'd be fucking fine. But it's a lie. I'm coughing, I'm not... I feel like shit.